Okay, so we are live. I hope you guys can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me clearly. So yeah, welcome to the very first live stream of Gym Mind X. I'm your host, Kalen, and today what we're going to talk about is we're going to delve a little bit into men's mental health, and also I'll just reflect on my week and also share some personal stories as well. So before we start, I just want to mention something very, very tragic that happened quite recently with regards to Charlie Kirk. I think, yeah, it was really shocking to a lot of people what happened. And to be honest, it really shook me as well. Not many things can shake me like that did, but that really, really shook me. So, how I came to know about it actually was quite interesting. So I was on my way to work in a cab and, just scrolling through X, um, and I came across the story about him and I was like, is this a joke or something? And then I checked it out on Instagram and it turned out to be a real thing. So I looked at it and I was able to see the video of the shot being taken, and yeah, it was not very pretty. And yeah, it really, really shook me, and I was left speechless. And not many things can do that normally to me, but that really did. That really, really did. And my heart goes out to his family. I think he has like two kids as well, and yeah, I really, really feel sorry for those kids. But anyway, moving on. We are going to talk about the. Just hang on a second. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about our week. So how's your guys' week been? Is it? Let's see in the chat. Okay, we got 2 people in the chat. Okay, nice. So how you guys' week been? Let me know in the chat. How's your week been going? So my week has been quite long, quite. I would say tiring as well. Had a lot of work to do, busy with the YouTube stuff, busy with the work stuff as well. But, we still have to keep going. Okay, let's see. Okay, everything seems fine. Let me know in the chat. Can you guys hear me clearly? Not too sure. Hope the sound is okay. It's going to be a little bit noisy, I think, because I am shooting from my apartment, so it's not a proper studio. But hopefully you guys can still hear me quite clearly. Yeah, so let me know about your week. How's your week been? Like I said, mine's been quite busy, quite tiring, but so I was still able to get in my normal gym sessions in. Workouts have been going really well, and nutrition has slipped a little bit, but I'm trying to get that back on track. And yeah, I will definitely try to get that back on track. So, okay, let's just move on to the next thing I want to talk about is the mental health aspect of it. So I've done a lot of videos about men's mental health thus far, and it's been quite good. The feedback I've been receiving was quite good as well. So I just want to go further on that to share some of my personal stories about men's mental health. So when it comes to men's mental health, I think it's a very sensitive topic amongst a lot of men, because it's a very, very what I'd say is it's very daunting, I think, for men to speak about it, and they are so afraid to be judged about it, because if you talk about how you're feeling or anything of that sort, you're seen as not a man, or you're seen as weak. So a lot of men have trouble opening up for that reason, and they just choose to stay quiet as well. But I think that over time you learn that being silent, being quiet is not always the best thing, because let me just see. Okay, so yeah, we just got some chats coming in. Okay, we got Rahul, who's been productive, and yeah, he says we can hear me clearly. Okay, good, great. Yeah, so as we've learned that over time, being silent is not always the answer, because a lot of men tend to just go on a downward spiral by not opening up or speaking to anyone. And some men do come out of it. I'm one example of that. I was able to come out of it, but I did have to open up. There's no way I think you can get around the mental health aspect without opening up in some way. But maybe there are outliers out there, possibly. But I think when it comes to mental health, you just got to speak to someone. Even if you don't want to speak to a therapist, or you don't like therapy, you don't believe in therapy, whatever the case is, I think it's always good to speak to someone. And if you don't have someone in your life that you can talk to or like just open up to, sometimes even a stranger can really, really help you, I think, because it's someone who doesn't really know you that well and is not really going to judge you as much. Because if you speak to a family member, sometimes I think the family member can judge you more than the stranger can, because the family member is like someone who knows you all your life. So if you don't feel comfortable with a family member or a friend, a stranger can also work. And at the end of the day, a therapist is a stranger as well. So speaking to someone that you actually respect and, you think you could benefit from, speaking to that person, go ahead. And like I said in my previous videos, I'm always here to speak to you. If you want to reach out to me, I've left my Instagram in the description, or I will leave my Instagram in the description, and you can reach out to me and we can talk. We can always have a chat. But yeah, like I said, it's not always good for you to be silent, because being silent is very detrimental, very, very detrimental. It can lead you down a very, very bad spiral. Some men can take it as far as, suicide, because the video that I did recently about men's mental health, we found out that, suicide is, the numbers on suicide between men, between the ages of 15 and 44 are really significant, really, really significant. And it was quite scary to see that. So a lot of these men don't like to speak and are afraid to speak. But I think the best way to deal with a problem is to speak about it and to try to outline problems and to find solutions to those problems. If you still feel not comfortable enough to speak to someone, whether it's a therapist, a friend, a family member, or even a stranger, then your other options are not limited, but there's quite a few other options that you can look at. And I do have some videos coming out in the future that will help you with that. If you don't really want to speak to anyone, but you want to try to fix it by yourself. Just excuse me for that. If you don't want to speak to anyone about that, I do have future videos coming out, like I said. And one intriguing way that I found is actually using AI. Using AI to, I wouldn't say fix, but to help your depression, or help increase your, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there, sorry. But it's intriguing, it's really, really intriguing. So the benefits of AI is like increasing day by day. So I think it can be used as a tool rather than a replacement for therapy. So how can you use an AI, a chatbot, for example, to increase or improve your mental health? Well, it's quite simple. And I don't want to get into too much of it because I'll have a video coming out about that. But from what I can tell you from that video is AI can be really helpful, an AI chatbot, something as simple as ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I'm sure many of you guys use it quite often. And I think that it's a very powerful tool, but it's being misused at times. People are using it, I wouldn't say for the wrong reasons, but they are not unlocking its full potential. And when you look at what ChatGPT can offer you, I mean, and what you're using it for, usually people are just using it for very basic stuff. And you have no idea the potential that it has to help you in this regard. So you can use it as basically as someone who checks up on you. You can give it prompts of where you would tell it to act as probably like a journal. And you can prompt it to ask you questions every day. So like to check up on you and to give you a plan. Like if you just describe your problem, like just say whatever you're feeling at that moment, and it will basically give you a step-by-step guideline on I wouldn't say how to fix it, but I would just say how to combat it, how to improve the current status of your situation. It's really, really helpful to giving you, guidance and guidelines on how to fix a lot of things. Okay, let's look at some of the chats. Bro, could you change to landscape your sideways in portrait? Okay, I don't know if I can. Oh no, I don't think I can. I could probably just switch to a portrait then. Unfortunately, I can switch to a portrait. Maybe let's try. Okay, there we go. I think I selected the wrong setting because I'm unable to currently change it at the moment. So we can just proceed like this. I hope that's okay. Okay, so yeah, we got in some chats. We got in some chats there. Let's look at one. We got Darshan. I guess it's people don't know how to use it or prompt be effective. Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people don't know how to prompt, but I think it's quite easy to pick up on how to prompt. Let me just adjust the camera there. Okay, I think that's a bit better. Get it a bit closer. Okay. Yeah, so as Darshan said, people don't know how to prompt. I think, a lot of people don't know how to prompt. But it's quite easy to learn how to prompt, because if you just spend the time asking it questions, you soon start to learn how it behaves, and you know what kind of questions you should ask it in the future. So just asking it something, or you can just say something as simple as like, today I feel worthless, or I don't feel good, and say why you don't feel good. Like describe the feeling that you are having. If you're not feeling good because maybe you didn't get enough sleep, or maybe something's bugging you, like something to do with work, or maybe something to do with your personal life, try to be as specific as you can, and you'll be surprised with what you can actually get from it. Just 1 second. Okay, it seems to be better now. Okay, great. Yeah, I made a mistake when I was setting up the live stream. I should have set up in landscape, and I set up in portrait, and actually, I set up in the wrong setting, and that's why it's coming across that way. But it's okay, we switched to portrait now, because once you are live, unfortunately, you don't have the option to go back to landscape or to change it, so you have to stick with it. So in the next live stream, I'll definitely be more aware of that. Yeah. But talking about ChatGPT, it has a lot of potential, and I think it can be useful to a lot of people. I'm someone who uses it every day, not specifically for mental health, but for just normal daily tasks. It does help with a lot of things, like if you want to plan something, or if you need something to be done, like a speech, or maybe you want a presentation to be done, it can really be helpful with that. Really, really helpful with that. But you can also use it if you want to plan your life out, if you wanted to help with your mental health. Like I said, just ask it questions like how you would ask a friend. And it's an AI bot, so it's not gonna judge you for anything. It's just gonna try to understand your problem and give you some feedback on it and try to help you. But I wouldn't say that you should become dependent on it, like don't rely on it too much, because the dangers of relying on it too much can be that, you get to a point where you're always asking it for some kind of advice, or you're always asking it for some kind of help. And that's not always a good thing, because it makes you reliant on something, and being reliant on that to think for you is dangerous, because you lose that power of thinking for yourself. And sometimes it can benefit you, but sometimes it can be detrimental to you. So don't let the AI control you. You need to control the AI, I would say. Okay, let's look at some of the comments. Okay, we got Jared watching. Okay, so Darshan asks, so what prompts do you suggest and how do you use it to be better? Okay, I've been using a master prompt or chatting on the same chat to get better answers. Okay, so let's go back to Darshan's comment. So what prompts do you suggest or how do you use it to be better? So basically, you could start in many ways, right? So if you are comfortable with journaling, for example, or you like journaling, then I would suggest you ask ChatGPT in a chat to basically become a journal for you. And every day you can prompt it to ask you a series of questions. So you can say something like, I want you to become my journal. And every day I want you to ask me 3 questions. And it can ask you those 3 questions to become better. So that's one way, that's journaling, right? So another way is quite powerful. It's going to be quite a long prompt to do so, but I think it'll be worth it. So you want to become better using ChatGPT and you don't have a plan. You don't know how to ask it to become better, right? So I would say in that regard, if you don't really have the knowledge on how to prompt, is just basically speak to it like how you would speak to a friend. So step by step, just go and say, I'm having this problem, and give the problem in detail, exactly what you're going through, exactly what you're feeling, and take it from there. Let's see what reply it comes up with, and it will give you a series of guidelines of what it thinks you should do and what you could possibly do to make your situation better. But I wouldn't really take that on face value. I would just say read through what it's giving you and then pick out the points that can relate to you and say the other points that you mentioned, it doesn't really relate to me, or it doesn't really correspond with my life or my level of thinking. And that's how you train the bot to become, like, it learns about you. And in future, when you do give it prompts like this, it will basically give you the answers that is tailored to you. So that's one way. That's another way, sorry, that you can use it. And yeah, like I said, I'll have a video coming out very soon about all of these, what prompts you can use and how it can be used to benefit your life. So Rahul says, I've been using a master prompt or chatting on the same chat to get better answers. Yes, that's also a good thing. That's a good thing that I actually forgot to mention. So thanks, Rahul, for mentioning that. If you are going to use it to make your life better or to enhance your life, make sure that you are using it on the same chat. Because if you keep going to a new chat, the problem with that is it's basically a new chat is basically a whole new kind of system, I would say, a new chatbot that you're talking to. If you go back to the chatbot that you originally been chatting to, that chatbot already knows you. He already knows the answers that you want, and he already has learned you learn about you. So I think he would be giving better answers. Whereas when you ask a new chatbot, you're going to be getting probably the same answers that you got when you first asked the old chatbot, like answers that probably don't really or are not really applicable to you or your life. So staying on the same chat, yes, is a really, really good thing. Okay, Jared says, could you possibly be that people seek human interaction rather than using solutions to their problems in terms of using AI for this? Yeah, no, like I said, this is not a replacement for human interaction. It's for someone who doesn't want human interaction, like they don't want to be judged. So yes, people who don't want to be judged by people, they are afraid to talk to people, and this is just another solution to their problem. So this is hopefully going to give them a little bit more confidence. So by using ChatGPT, for example, it's hopefully going to help them to build a little bit of confidence, so eventually they are able to speak to someone. So I do agree, it does not replace human interaction, but it could be a useful tool at the beginning to get comfortable with speaking about your problems, even if it's to a chatbot. But eventually that will lead to them speaking out to other people, hopefully. Okay, we've got some other chats coming in. So yes, for Rahul, yes, the judgment basis is what I found helpful. Okay, that's great. And we have another one from Rahul. How has it benefited you in business? So ChatGPT, how has it benefited me in business? So quite unrelated to the topic that we were discussing, but then I'm more than happy to answer this question. So how has it benefited me in business? So basically, if you are looking to get into a business, if you're looking to get into a specific venture, you need to do your research on this venture, right? And if you do your research without a chatbot, like without ChatGPT, it's going to be a longer process, I would say, because you would have to go individually, and if you're looking at YouTube, you have to go from video to video to video to video to actually find out some information. But a lot of YouTube channels will give you some information that's maybe not useful to you or applicable to you, stuff like this. And if you go online with the Google route, it can also take you a little bit of time because you've got a lot of websites and articles that'll be dedicated to that specific business that you're looking at. And it's not really specific. If you're looking for something that is going to give you specifics of what you are looking for and exactly what you want, then I would say ChatGPT is really beneficial. And how did I use it for business? So, for example, I can give you is my venture with the property. So with regards to the property, I didn't know much about the property game, and I wanted to learn more about it before I got into it. And I basically just asked ChatGPT to lay it down for me. So I prompted it to basically tell me what is real estate about, like how do you go about real estate. So very basic at the start. So start from the basics. And it gave me an idea of real estate, what it entails, and what you need to know, what you need to look out for, and all of this. And you need to tailor it specifically to the country that you are going to start the business or you're going to buy the property in. And it can pull like articles from everywhere without you wasting the time to look for it, and put everything together in a nice way that you can just browse through it and find out all the laws that you need to look at, all the things that you should look at, the pros, the cons. So it's really, really helpful for all of this. And you can even ask it for specific links if you want to check out the articles, if you want to read the whole article instead of reading a small sentence from it. So the links, yeah, it's quite helpful. You can read the articles and stuff yourself. And yeah, it's really, really beneficial because it breaks down basically step by step on how you can start a business in whatever field you're looking at. It can give you the pros and cons of the business. It can give you the laws that you need to look out for and what else you need to look out for. And also you can ask it to do like a kind of market analysis. Like you can ask it to check for what other competitors, or what are your competitors, who are your competitors, and what are they currently doing. And then, you can look at that and get some ideas from that. And you can ask it, based on all this information that you provided me, after you put in your inputs of what exactly you're going to do, you can ask it to, with all the information that you provided it, to draw up a plan for you. And it draws up quite a good plan. I've used it for quite a lot of planning myself. And it's really, really helpful for that, I think. Okay, so we got another chat. That's intriguing. How has property pushed you into business? Okay, so another chat from Rahul. That's intriguing. How has property pushed you into business? So, property, I would say, pushed me into business because not a lot of people know about buying properties, I would say. And you need to find a way that if you're going to go into the property market and you are planning to buy like a lot of properties. Excuse me. You're going to plan to buy a lot of properties. And the thing is, a lot of countries will limit you if you're going to buy the properties on a personal capacity. So you would need to go a different route. If you're looking to acquire a vast number of properties in the future, it's going to be a little difficult to do that on your personal capacity. So how it made me go into business is basically, I would say that I looked at some research and also was informed by a lot of one specific family member, I won't mention his name, about this opportunity that you can actually start a business and also have a trust, a holdings trust, and then a family trust as well. I'm not going to go into this too much. We can talk about this maybe on another live. But basically, you can create a business and you have a holdings trust, you have a family trust. And if you buy through a business, and it allows you to basically to buy more property, because the leniencies from the banks on companies is much greater than compared to a personal capacity. So I'm not going to go too much into that. We can discuss that in a separate video, but I feel we've gone a little bit off topic, but let's just go back to what we were speaking about originally. So we were talking about how we can use ChatGPT to basically help you if you don't want to speak to someone, and that's how you can use it. And I would say it's a really, really helpful tool to use if you use it the right way. And we'll have the video coming out probably in the next week or so you guys can check that out, and I will give you some prompts in the video on what you can possibly use. And if you still feel like the video wasn't sufficient or you need more help with regards to how you can use ChatGPT, I think you can just reach out to me and I will help you with that, because it's a very, very useful tool that I think a lot of people are not using enough and not using it for the right things, I would say. But I think a lot of men in particular have been suffering with their mental health for a very long time. And a lot of them just don't like to talk about it. And I was one of those. So I'm going to share a personal story now. And so when it comes to mental health, a lot of men don't like to share. And I was one of those men who really doesn't like to share about anything. And what I realized is that if you don't share, you tend to suffer alone, and suffering alone can make you do really silly things. It can make you feel very suicidal, which I did feel. And you just feel like the whole world you feel the whole weight of the world on your shoulders. And that's not a good thing. And you always have negative thoughts, and you just become a very bitter and unhappy person. So that's the person I was, and that was me not speaking to anyone. And it wasn't benefiting me in any way. Not speaking was not benefiting me in any way. And I was very stubborn. I'm still stubborn, but at that point I was very stubborn. I was determined that I was not going to speak to anyone, that I can fix it by myself. But obviously I couldn't. I didn't really have, at the time ChatGPT wasn't around, and I didn't really have the proper guidance, I would say, to help me to get through that. And what I found is that eventually I decided that I need to speak to someone, or I need to speak to someone that's close to me. And well, it started with not a person, but it started with my dog, I would say. So it's quite a funny story, actually. So I was really sad the one night, and I was thinking about doing something like very silly, suicidal in that moment. And I just went outside, and my dog was there, and I decided, you know what, I can't do this, because I just looked at him. I'm like, if I have to leave this world, I mean, who's going to take care of him? And he is one of the main reasons why I didn't do anything. And I used to just sit, from that night, I used to just sit outside with him and just talk to him and share like my thoughts, what's happening in my life. And for some reason, I felt like he understood me, and he would just do things like so small little things that would just make me feel better, and just make me not think about it too much. And that, I would say, gave me a little bit more confidence to build up the courage to speak to someone, but I wasn't quite ready to speak to anyone. And also, I would say the next thing that helped me was starting to pray, or rather starting to talk to God. And I would spend nights just laying in bed when I couldn't sleep, and just speaking to God, like how you would speak to a friend. And that also helped me to build a good relationship with God, because I felt like he was responding to me. And yeah, just speaking to God every night like a friend, and I felt like he was giving me responses. And over time, over a few months, that gave me a little more confidence, and I was finally ready to speak to someone. So I started to speak to people like my cousin, my brother, my mom. Yeah, I started to speak to a lot more people, and that eventually gave me the confidence to actually speak more and become more open, and to understand that, you're not a burden to society, you're not a burden to anyone, you just need to speak more. And the right people will listen to you, and the right people will advise you and give you some guidance. And that's exactly what happened. And I was able to have very good people around me, very loving people around me, to help me through that. And yeah, that's what made me the strong person I am today. And I've been through a lot of different experiences in my life. I've also studied a lot about human psychology and mental health as well. So I'm quite clued up on all of this, and I know a lot of steps on how to fix it, or how to at least improve it. So that's the whole purpose of this channel. The whole purpose of this channel is to help people, is to guide people. Because a lot of people, it's been pointed out to me actually, that a lot of people don't know how to improve their mental health. A lot of people don't know where to start. And there's a lot of information out there, but even with the information out there, it becomes a little overwhelming. And people just don't know where to start. They don't know who to trust, who to believe. And I thought that I can make a difference in that, and not just be someone that puts out videos, but also interact with the people that are subscribed to the channel, or people that are looking for help. Because a lot of these people who talk about their mental health, they just put out videos. They don't really specifically reach out to people. And that's what I'm looking to achieve with these live streams, is to actually reach out to you, to talk to you, and maybe we can even become online friends. We can chat over Instagram, over Facebook, and I can help you in some way. If this channel at the end of the day only helps like one person in like the next year, I'll be happy with that, because it still helped one person. So I already made someone's life better, one person's life better, and that's all I want to do with this, is to help people and to guide people. So hopefully that we can do that. Okay, let's look at the comments. So Darshan, what's the most ridiculous thing you've seen at the gym? The most ridiculous thing that I've seen at the gym. It's quite a few. It's normally you would say is like, it's a pretty common thing to see like people with bad form and all this, and the ego lifting at the gym. But I would say the first thing that actually came to my mind when I think about that is quite recently, actually, I think 2 weeks ago. So there's this guy at my gym. He's, just have to be careful with my words here. He's, I would say, a very bubbly person, very bubbly person, and has a very fun personality. He likes to dance, okay? He likes to dance. Like, I would say like classical ballet style dancing. And he comes to the gym when he's warming up, he does his dancing, and I'm not going to say anything more than that because I might get into trouble. So yeah, that was the most ridiculous thing that I've seen. Okay, Rahul says, how has the gym helped you? So yeah, that was the next thing. So I spoke about firstly speaking to my dog, and then speaking to God, and then the gym. How did the gym help me? So the gym is something very powerful that can be used to help you to improve your mental health. How? Well, it's quite simple. The gym, what it gives you is it teaches you something. It teaches you that if you show up on the first day, you can train the hardest. You look in the mirror, you're going to look the same. If you do it consistently for 1 week, at the end of that week, you're going to look in the mirror, you are going to look the same. And after 2 weeks, you still maybe going to look the same as well. After a month, you'll start to notice a little bit of improvements. Not something drastic, but a little bit of improvements. Unless you're like, a genetic freak, but I'm talking about like normal average people. After a month, you're not going to see much. You're going to see a little bit of difference, but not much. And if you consistently still put in that effort, month by month, by the end of the year, you compare yourself from the beginning to the end of the year, you'll see a significant difference. And what that teaches you is that consistent hard work is what helps you to become better and to look better, to feel better. So that's what that taught me, is that if you keep putting in the reps and you keep showing up, it's not gonna make your life better in 1 day. It's not gonna make your life better in a week. It's not gonna make your life better in a month. I would say it won't even make your life better in a year. It's year by year that you consistently do it. You consistently do it, and you consistently show up. That is what's going to give you the enhancement in your life. So the gym helped me with that. It helped me to build discipline as well, because I feel very guilty if I miss the gym, and it's really tied up as well to my self-confidence, my self-esteem, that I have to show up to the gym, because once you start looking a certain way and people have a perception of you, and it's a good perception. It's something that you have to stick by. It's something that you have to stick by, well, at least for me. And I stuck by it, and I still show up consistently to the gym. I still take it very seriously, and I make sure, or I try not to miss too many workouts. I do miss a few, but I try not to miss too many because I'm disciplined, and it teaches you discipline. It teaches you a lot more than discipline as well, but focusing on the discipline aspect, it teaches you discipline, and you can apply that to your life. So discipline it teaches you the discipline that you need for your physical health, but you can also use it for your mental health. So for example, if you have your gymming dialed down, like let's say you are following a routine and you always stick to that routine. That's discipline, right? So that is going to help you with your physical health, right? How can you do something that's going to improve your mental health? So if you want to improve your mental health, you can start by simply, I would say, reading or journaling and setting a time each day, or maybe every second day, that you are going to do this specific task. And if you do it, maybe at first you do it very, very small. So like set aside 5 minutes of your day. And I don't care who you are, everyone has 5 minutes to spare in their day to do it. If it's something as simple as reading a book, spare that 5 minutes, read the book, or read at least a page, paragraph from that book. Or just take the time in the morning, or if you don't have time in the morning, just whenever you do have those spare 5 minutes, and start to journal, start to write down like how you're feeling. And if you commit to that, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, you'll see a big improvement. You're not going to see an improvement, like I said, with the gymming in the first week, the first month, the first year, but it's consistently putting in the reps. That's what's going to get you the outcome that you desire. So that's, I would say, how the gym has helped me. Okay, Rahul again. That's crazy, bro. What's your dog's name? So my dog's name is Papito. Funny name, I know. But it's a funny story, actually, how he was named. So when we first got him, I think it was 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, we were still deciding on a name. We had a few, but like nothing really stuck with him. And then I think it was my mom. Someone just mentioned the name, like Papito. And for some reason, that stuck. And yeah, we've called him that ever since, and it just suits him. It suits his demeanor, I would say. Trust is what I've been struggling with. I haven't found that online with other channels. Yeah, definitely. Trust is very, very important, because if you are not able to gain people's trust, then of course they're not going to be able to share with you because they don't trust you. A lot of people that are online now will just not listen to you. They will just give you the advice over a YouTube video and just try to sell you something, like maybe an affiliate link for something, or this is just something that they want to sell to you. They don't really care about how you feel. They just want to sell you something, to be honest. And this channel is not really focused on that. This channel is trying to reach out to you specifically. That's why we're going to start to do more of these lives, so I can interact with you guys more and to speak to you more and to help you. And eventually looking to evolve maybe to a point where we can have one-on-one, maybe not lives, but like private conversations with people where I can directly speak to people and help them out. That'll be great. That'll be really, really great. So that's what we're looking at in the future. Why don't I look as good as my pump? Why don't I look as good as my pump? I think that's the question that every bodybuilder is asking themselves. It's because when you pump up the muscle, you're pumping blood into the muscle. So at that point, you're going to look nice. But eventually, the blood has to return back to other places in your body, right? So that's why you don't look as good as your pump, or you'll never be as big as your pump. Your pump will always be bigger than you. But training consistently, eating right, and taking the right supplements, which I will do a video on, is really, really good and really beneficial to you. So just keep up your routine, keep up your training, keep up your nutrition, and make sure you're taking the right supplements. Don't waste your money on unnecessary supplements. The supplements, I can tell you quickly what I recommend is simple as creatine. Creatine is the most studied, most researched supplement there is, and it's proven to work. I use it myself. It really does work, make a difference in my workouts. And whey protein, I wouldn't say you need it, but it's called a supplement for a reason. If you're not getting enough protein, then you need to supplement it in to get more protein. But if you're eating enough during the day, I don't see it necessary to take away protein. But if you feel like you need it, then you can always take it. And a pre-workout is not really needed. You don't need a pre-workout, I would say, but it does help, because if you're having those days where you are not really psyched for your workouts, then it does give you a little bit more of a kick. And I would say some pre-workouts, not all, give you a nice pump, a better pump, I would say, in the gym. So that's a good thing. Other than that, I would say there's not really other supplements I would recommend, because a lot of them are not really useful to your performance in the gym. The other one I would say is, I just had it now, what is it called? BCAAs. That one is quite helpful in the gym if you are working out, if you're going through like a very hard workout, and maybe it's during summer especially. So you tend to get dehydrated, and you tend to like become very fatigued very fast. It helps with that, helps you to perform better for a longer period of time. Other than that, there's no other supplements I would say that's really beneficial, but that's just from my experience. What books do you recommend? So what books do I recommend? So I've recently been reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think it's a really, really good book. It's really insightful, and it teaches you habits that can help you, can improve your life. And that's what we're about, right? Improving ourselves. And that's the one I've been reading recently. Other books, I would say, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is always a good read. I actually do have some of my books here. I can just show you quickly. Let me just get them. So these are the other books I'm actually scheduled to read. So yeah, I've got this one, if you can see it, Psychology of Money. It's been actually recommended to me by my cousin, and I'll definitely give that a read. And also I've got this one. I'm sure everyone knows this podcast, The Diary of a CEO. Quite excited to read this one as well. So that's the next two books I'm going to read. I will let you know what I think about it and whether I would recommend it or not. But I've recently only started reading, I would say. So I don't have a vast collection of books. I've not read a lot in my life, but I've been trying to get into it more. And what I found is it is really helpful, actually. So I don't know why I didn't start it sooner. But for now, those are the two books that I've read, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Atomic Habits. So those are the only two I can recommend to you truthfully. I'm not going to recommend something I didn't read. Okay, Jared is talking about football. United versus Chelsea. Who you got? Man United always, man. Man United always. I'm a United fan. Don't think they're going to do too well, but, United always. But anyway, going back to what we were talking about, men's mental health. Yeah, so I gave you the story about basically talking to my dog, speaking to God, and also the gym. Rahul mentioned the gym. So those were the three powerful things that really helped me. And then when it came to speaking to someone, who did I speak to? So I spoke to a lot of different people, and a lot of people, what you learn is once you become selective, or selective is the wrong word. Once you become more attentive and you actually pay attention to the people in your life by asking a series of questions or just watching behavior, you notice who is real and who's not. And you can open up to someone, and how they react tells you what they think about you, basically. An example of that in my life, I would say, I'm not going to give any names, but speaking to a friend would probably gave me like cliched advice and didn't really show much, I would say, affection or like provided any kind of enhancement to my life, I would say. But speaking to, for example, my cousin, speaking to, I would say, all my cousins actually, we have a small group of the 5 of us, and so basically speaking to them, I would say that was the first real people in my life that actually helped me, because they were people that I grew up with, and they inspired me to do better, and they actually made me realize that my potential was so much higher than what I was believing it to be. And they were also one of the main reasons why I started this channel, just because they gave me a lot of confidence, and they said that, I would do good in this, and I'm really good at speaking and helping people. So I would say that is those are the people that I spoke to, at least. So it is helpful if you pair it with other things that you do in your life. It's like speaking to people is helpful as well, but focusing on other aspects, like focusing on your physical health, can make a huge difference. So if you still don't want to do a lot of the things that I mentioned, you don't want to speak to people, you don't want to use AI, or you don't trust AI enough to use it, start with something as simple as this. Start to exercise. Join a gym. If you are still stubborn, you don't want to join a gym, work out at home. Just try to work out at home. So it doesn't have to be an everyday thing. Just maybe 2 or 3 times a week is more than enough. And just start with basic workouts. It's very, very easy to find a basic workout on YouTube. So start with basic workouts. And once you improve your physical health, also I forgot to mention, you need to also try to improve your nutrition as well, because that's very important. You need to fuel your muscles to grow and make sure you're getting enough protein. So once you get your nutrition down, I wouldn't say to 100%, just try to eat cleaner than you are currently eating. Try to cut out, the crap foods. And I'm not saying give it up entirely, but like try to cut it down. Don't eat as much as you normally would. And once you've got your nutrition down and you start to work out, you're going to notice a big difference in your life, like a huge difference in your life. Like people are going to start looking at you differently, because you're going to start to look different and feel different. So the physical part of it is you're going to look better, and you're going to get more looks, I would say, from men or women, whichever one you're into. And the mental aspect is, by eating the right foods, it's going to give you a lot of clarity, a lot of mental clarity. Because if you eat the wrong foods, what you start to notice is your brain is not functioning the same. You get a lot of brain fog, and you tend to forget things, and you just become so lazy all the time. And eating all these kind of sugary foods as well, like you feel good when you do eat them, but the crash is insane, man. Like you just laze around and you feel like shit afterwards, I would say. So cleaning up your diet gives you that. It gives you that mental clarity. It helps you to think better, especially if you then pair it with a good night's sleep. If you sleep well, you're getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, I think those are the basics. Those are like foundations to becoming better. If you nail those things, like I said, going to the gym, eating right, sleeping enough, drinking enough water, and if you are willing to start speaking to God as well, praying, those little things can really, really make a big difference in your life. And it lays down the foundation. Then once you have that down, you can start looking at other things to supplement what you're currently doing. And that's how you eventually start to become unstoppable, in my opinion. So yeah, just nailing down the foundations of your life, and that'll help you a lot. It'll really, really help you a lot. Because when I was going through my, I would say, depression, I was working out, but I wasn't taking it as seriously as I should. I was eating like crap, and that also what caused me to not think clearly, having the brain fog and all of this. So just cleaning up the diet and working out, planning out my workouts, planning out what I was going to eat for the week made a big difference, made a huge difference. The way I felt was much better. I felt more clear-headed, and also getting the enough protein in and consistently working out, it made me look better, and I got a lot more confidence from it, and my self-esteem went up. Everything started to go better in my life by just doing those two things, by eating right and working out. And then I started pairing it with trying to sleep better, to drink more water. And recently now I started to read, and I take vitamins, supplements, whatever you want to call it, and it's made a huge difference. And I think those foundations can help you a lot if you just put it into your daily routine. Okay, Darshan is asking, what have you learned from Atomic Habits? So Atomic Habits, thus far, only a quarter way through, I'll be honest with you. So what have I learned? So what I've learned is that if you want to improve, you need to make small changes in your life. So small that your brain can't say no. Because these small improvements that you make build up over time. And funny enough, Jared mentioned Man United versus Chelsea. Speaking on Man United and how it's related to Atomic Habits, not a lot of people know this, actually. So the author of the book was inspired by one of the board members of the United Owners Group, the Ineos Group, I think it is. So the Ineos Group is, I think he's a director, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not exactly sure what his position is. So his name is Sir Dave Brailsford. So he was the one that inspired this guy, James Clear, to write the book Atomic Habits. So what did he do, or what did he implement that inspired him to write the book or to change his life? I'll tell you now. So basically, the UK cycling team was doing very, very bad, like very bad. And they didn't win a race. I don't think they never ever won a competition or a trophy, something like this. And he went in and basically he looked at everything they were doing and he said, okay, let's take one thing at a time. Let's break it down and we take one thing at a time. So I'm not going to really go into specifics because, to be honest, I don't really know much about cycling. So he looked at specifics, right? let's just say something as simple as he looked at the bike tires or the weight of the bike or the material being used for the bike, right? Or the seat for the bike. And he looked at each thing. So let's take, for example, the material used to make the bike. And he said, okay, let's look at that. Let's break it down. How can we make this slightly better? Because it's already up to standard, but how can we make it slightly better? And then they looked at it, they studied, and then they said, okay, we can do this. And this was like going to give them not a 50% increase, but like a marginal increase, like maybe 1% increase. It's like, okay, cool. Let's look at the next thing. Let's look at the tires. How can we improve this? And then they found a way, okay, to make it like slightly better, like maybe even, not even a 1%, maybe like a 0.5%. And they kept doing this. And eventually he led the team to their first ever championship. I think it was the Tour de France, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I could be wrong. You can correct me in the chat. And what that shows you is that not even focusing on the big changes, is focusing on the little things. It's actually what he calls marginal gains. Focusing on the little things, focusing on how you can improve something by 1%. If you improve something by 1%, even if it's day by day or maybe week by week or month by month, year by year, you are going to keep doing that consistently. It's going to add up over time, and it's going to make you eventually unbreakable and unstoppable. So that's how he inspired him to write the book. And it's quite a good system. I actually quite believe in that, I would say, myself, because these small improvements, it really adds up over time. Like just doing something as small as, like I mentioned earlier, like journaling. I mean, taking 5 minutes out of your day, what's 5 minutes? Or that time that you use going to the bathroom, where you normally will be scrolling on your phone. Instead of taking your phone to the bathroom, take a book, take a newspaper, take something else besides your phone. Something that's going to help you, something that's going to benefit you, you know? Just choosing how to spend your time wisely, I would say. Like, I'm not saying don't spend time on social media or don't do fun things. I'm just saying that, you know, from time to time, just find something small. Do it in small increments, and you'll thank yourself for doing that later, I would say. Something as simple as, for me, reading. Like I said, it was something I always was against. I never liked to read. I thought it was a waste of time. And so something just changed my mind. I said, let me try it. And I did try, and just spending a little bit of time. I'll say like maybe like 10 minutes a day. And eventually that grew to being 15 minutes, being 20 minutes, being 25 minutes, because I realized that how powerful books are and how underrated books are. Well, for me at least. And it really changed my perspective. Like, just making these small changes can really add up, because now I am more educated than I was like a month ago, just by reading. So it can be really, really helpful, yes, to make these small changes. All right, so I think we've covered a lot on the stream, we've spoken about a lot. I want to thank everyone for their comments. I want to thank everyone for watching, and we'll definitely be doing more videos like this. Hopefully we can get the audience up and get more people sharing, more people talking in the future. And yeah, next time in the video, I'll make sure to click the landscape option so we don't have that issue again. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.